All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming out. Round of applause. For those who don't know me, my name is Rob Arrigo, and I am the chairperson of the Libertarian Party County here in Saratoga County. Yeah. Our organization is small, and it started about 2 years ago. But believe it or not, in those 2 years, we've seen massive, massive growth. And so the purpose of this event is to talk about the state of libertarianism, where we are. And I have to say, the state of libertarianism right now is good and strong. Woo! Saratoga County Libertarian Party now has a party larger than the Green Party and larger than the Working Families Party. And we've been successful in other ways that I think are really important. Our organization has focused on making legislative changes. And we have both defeated bad legislation. For example, we've defeated Airbnb regulations in Milton. We've knocked down pay raises in Saratoga Springs for elected officials. And when a corrupt county administrator decided to exploit a pandemic and hand out 50% pay raises to himself, his relatives, and 500 county employees, we knocked that down too. And I want to say that we do that by working in tandem with our awesome legislative partners who are not always in the Libertarian Party. So I want to recognize two great men in Saratoga County, Phil Barrett of Clifton Park and Todd Kuzniers of Moreau. It is very difficult in any political party because it is much like a club to go against and work against interests in your own party. But these two gentlemen put their neck on the line because it was the right thing to do. And so again, a round of applause for them too. So people always ask me, what is libertarianism? What is that, right? Because let's face it, a lot of people don't know what it is. To me, it really is the philosophy of peaceful coexistence. And what I mean by that is it says that, in a very large, diverse society, the only way we can all live in peace and get along is if we agree that we can be different, but we can't force our way on another person. And so libertarianism is all about how do we operate society in a peaceful way? And there's really two rules. One, don't hurt anybody else. And two, don't take their stuff. Yes. Right. So we talk about things. We talk about things like, increasing personal liberty. We talk about keeping taxes low or lowering them to zero. We talk about criminal justice reform. All the things that would advance personal liberty, and those are important things to talk about. But this year, we're talking about one more very important political thing, and that's survival. Our survival as a party is on the line because Andrew Cuomo and his corrupt legislature decided to make it much more difficult for third parties to have access to the ballot here in New York State. And so, in order to qualify for the ballot, we need to get Joe Jorgensen, our terrific candidate for president, 160,000 votes in this presidential election year. Now, I want to tell you, that's very much within reach. 4 years ago, Gary Johnson got us 178,000 votes. And libertarianism has grown since then. So we're going to get there. I want to now bring up our terrific new state chairman, Cody Anderson. Cody was recently elected as the first elected state chairman in party history. To talk maybe more about what's going on at the party level, how we're going to go about assuring we have ballot access and whatnot. So, Cody, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cody Anderson. I'm the chair of the Libertarian Party of New York. I want to welcome everybody here, whether you're like-minded or whether you're enrolled libertarian here in Saratoga County or in adjacent county. I just wanted to thank you for being here and supporting our cause. Since we got ballot access at the end of 2018, we have doubled our statewide enrollment. This says a lot to where people are with the state of governance here in New York. People are tired of policies that stifle business. People are tired of policies and government that stifle personal liberty. We have a real problem here in New York. People are leaving the state in droves, leaving the people who wish to stay, holding a greater burden. We're in the middle of a census right now, which of course leads to redistricting. We're guaranteed to lose at least one, possibly two congressional districts, which will reduce our representation in Washington, D.C. There's no one to blame but the socialist policies that have taken root at the very top of government here in New York State. Ballot access is a huge issue for us right now, and we've had we've had a lot of challenges this year, mainly because of COVID. Our national candidates cannot travel to our state the way they have, so they rely on a grassroots network, which frankly we don't match as far as the Democrats or the Republicans for that matter. We're looking so a lot of what we do is based on face-to-face conversations, relying on the party loyal, all the folks in our county organizations and the folks who we now have elected to state committee to have clarifying conversations with people. What we see, we have an electorate nationally that's 25% Republican, 25% Democrat, and there's a middle 50%, frankly, that settles for the lesser of two evils every single year. And for me, a lot of the outreach that I've been doing personally gets at people who I know are either disaffected party loyalists or those no party people who don't know any better. And a lot of the conversations that I've been having via social media, on my personal social media, and also just face to face, makes a slow convincing argument for Joe Jorgensen. And fortunately, I have a fair number of people who are going to who I kind of converted to voting for Joe because they realize that there has to be another way. There has to be another way than the distant politics of Orange Man Dad and the other side. there has to be more to it. And I think that libertarianism, is the way forward. The Libertarian Party gives the only solution that is going to heal this country, is that people fundamentally want to be left alone, to live their lives without interference from a tyrannical government. To that end, I should have said this right up. Rob Arrigo and Saratoga County Libertarian Party, they are the model for what I want county organizations to be throughout the state. I want there needs to be local drives and enrollment. There needs to be local issue advocacy. There needs to be local beating up of governments that are not being good stewards of taxpayer money.
Figuratively.
FBI,
figuratively.
Literally. And even though taxation is theft, the world we live in right now is that we pay taxes and we need to be good stewards of those. We need to promote good stewards of those dollars. I hope that Saratoga continues that role, and I hope that Rob, as our new affiliate outreach person, that he's going to train our counties and to continue to develop counties throughout the state to do the same thing that they've been doing there. So just give Saratoga County a nice round of applause for all the work they've been doing here at the local level. 160,000 votes is what we need. We need all of you to turn out at the ballot box or early voting on election day or absentee voting. We need everybody here to put their vote in for Joe Jorgensen for President of the United States. It's really, I can't tell you what the existential threat is. We may, I hope, I know we have a good case. I hope that we win our case. Lawsuits are uncertain. We need to fight this on every front that we can. Between now and November, we need to cast our votes for Joe Jorgensen and Jeremy Cohen for president. We also need to get out the vote on the libertarian line. Rob is also spearheading a statewide effort to call that and get calls out to voters to vote on the libertarian line. And I would encourage all of you to please check with Rob and see how you can get involved in that effort. It will not take much of your time. Many hands make short work, and it's a very easy process to get involved in. So I'd implore all of you who can and have the time, even just a couple hours, an hour a day in the next week will go a long way to helping us meet our goal. That being said, okay. Well, I'm gonna turn the mic back over to Rob Rigo. And once again, thank you all for all your support in our efforts statewide. And here's Rob.
Yep. So I just wanted to tell the story before I called Larry Sharpe. He probably doesn't remember this, but when he was running for governor, I had been sort of like out of politics really for a while. I was dealing with work. And he starts running for governor. I get asked by my friends at the Upstate Conservative Coalition in Saratoga County, Dave, and he's like, do you want to moderate these interviews with Larry Sharpe? And they had Mark Molinaro and so on and so forth. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. So we wrote out some questions and we had an interview. And I'm watching this guy the whole time during the election, and I'm going, man, I've never seen a candidate, big party, small party, barnstorm a state like this. It was freaking incredible what he did and put himself through to get elected in 2018. And so I sit down with him and we're going through an interview, and I'm like, at first I'm like, his third party's probably not going to be that impressive. And I was just blown away by how amazing Larry is and how much political skill he has and how terrific the message is. And we are absolutely blessed to have him here in New York State Libertarian Party. And so with that, I want to bring up Larry Sharpe, our 2018 gubernatorial candidate. Thank you, Larry.
All right, well, I guess I better be good now, huh? Okay, now I gotta say something. Okay, I will either be funny or smart, but maybe not both. The thing I wanna bring up here is, why in the world would I be doing this right now? Why in the world would I be doing it again? Covering the state, as you said, barnstorming the state yet again, all 62 counties, when I'm not running for anything. I'm not on the ballot this year. You can't vote for me this year. You couldn't vote for me last year either. Why would I do that? Because I talk the talk of saying local matters. I talk the talk saying that I believe in home rule. I talk the talk saying I believe in diversity, which, oh my God, everyone talks about diversity, don't they? They talk about diversity, and the first thing they do when it's a problem, they create a one-size-fits-all answer for Albany. That's not diversity. I absolutely love this state. I love the diversity of it. I happen to live in the county that is the most diverse county in the country, Queens County. So what does that mean? It means that we should actually have diverse answers for all of our questions. It means we should have different answers for different people. If we actually respect diversity, and I hope we all do, that means we should let every county be every county and communities be their own communities. So if I believe that, I have to actually walk the walk. And I cover the entire state, listening to what people have to say, not pretending to be somebody I'm not. I don't go to a farm, put on a straw hat and go, howdy. I don't do that because that's not who I am. I'm a city kid. I don't play any games. That's who I am. But my entire campaign is now, has always been, I want to let you be you, you let me be me, and we can all live together. That's what I want us to do. I believe that in my heart, so I have to go out and preach it. Because the sad part is the rest of the world doesn't seem to agree with me. The rest of the world says, I'm right, you're wrong, do as I say, elections have consequences, and that's that. But the most important thing to understand from all these times that we've had so much mandates from above. You would think all our problems would be solved by now, right? But they're not. They're not, are they? That's the biggest issue. Our problems aren't actually solved. And one of the most important issues is, it's because they're forced. And I'll give you the best example I can, which is very recent. This is the COVID crisis. All right, for those of you who care, I actually came up with a plan to solve our COVID issue literally 7 months ago. For those who are paying attention, I put it online. 7 months ago, I explained exactly how we should handle the COVID response. And sadly, for us, I was right in every single thing I did. Every single thing I said. Because the number one thing I said is, don't force it. That was the number one issue. As of last month, I don't know if it's still true, but as of last month, Yates County here in New York State, a county of about 30,000 people, give or take, had a total of 6 COVID deaths. All of them in one nursing home. So why in the world should Yates County have the same policy as Manhattan or Queens? Does it mean they shouldn't have a policy? Of course they should. But what did everyone say? The reason why COVID's failing is because we don't have a federal policy. You've heard this. We need federal policy from Washington, D.C., because clearly somebody in Washington, D.C. understands exactly how Yates County works. Of course not. But those of you who paid attention, when this COVID problem first popped up, what did people first do? Nothing. They just sat back and waited. Why? Because so many of us have spent so much time assuming that government is the only answer, that when a government doesn't act, we freeze. And when we froze, people died. And when we froze, people became afraid because we waited for government. And when government didn't act quick enough, what did we do? For those of you who saw, you watched. We started making up our own answers. People started doing 6 feet. Remember that? People started wearing masks before we even had a mandate. People started doing that already. They started doing it. I know. I live in Queens. I saw people doing it in the supermarkets and everything. People wearing masks on their own. They were worried, scared, trying to make things right. Then the mandate came down. And once the mandate came down, what did people do? They took the masks off. You saw it. Because when they were doing it to support their neighbor or the person they cared about or their loved one they were concerned about, they put the mask on because they cared. And people put the mask on because someone else cared. They might think, oh, this mask is dumb. Oh, but you care, fine. I like you. I'll put my mask on because it makes you feel good. Fine. But the second they mandated it, what happened? The mask came off. And then it became political. Then it became a statement. Then it mattered because of who I am, not because of the people that I actually love. And it reinforced the horrible thing that we have now. Because of all these mandates, because of all these orders that come down, for years, we are now united more by what we hate than what we agree with. You hate that guy? Me too. We're together. Well, he's a shady guy. He is. But besides the point. We all hate that guy? Yeah. So we're all together. Why? Because we hate that guy. Do we believe in the same things? Oh, no, not at all. But we just hate that guy. So now we're all together. What party is going to change that? Do you think Democrats, Republicans are going to change that? They're not. They can't. They don't know any better. Think about what's happening right now in New York State. In New York State, we have a horrible budget issue. Some of you know this, you're paying attention. Prior to COVID, we were $6 billion in deficit. Prior to COVID. Now we're about $60 billion, give or take. So what are we going to do? What do you think our government will do? You already know it. Raise taxes, raise fees, raise fines. That's all we're going to do. Meanwhile, over 100,000 New Yorkers left last year. Over 200,000 will leave this year and the years coming. We are going to, Cody, I like the idea of you think we might lose 2. We are going to lose 2 Congress people this year. We're going to lose 2, no doubt. We're going to lose 1.5 million is 2. And we've lost 1.5 million people. We're going to lose 2. We are going to lose 2 Congress people. And I know what you said, Cody. I'm tweaking a little bit. You said the reason why is because of socialist policies. True, but there's more important. There's someone to blame. His name is His Majesty Andrew Cuomo II. Oh, hail the king. That is who to blame. He has been our governor for 10 years, and we have been losing population for 10 years. 10 years. When I ran for governor, what I told you all is I would judge my first 4 years by only one metric, only one. Did I stop the bleeding? Did people stop leaving our state? If they did, I had a good 4 years. If they didn't, I failed. I say this because I'm thinking like an entrepreneur. I'm thinking, how do I solve a problem? How do I fix the problem? How do I stop the bleeding? Every other politician thinks, how do I keep the punishment up? An example I'll give you, which again is from COVID. Now what do we have? We have restaurants, organizations, and they say, you know what? Here are our rules. You must follow our rules. The government says this, right? The state government, you must follow our rules. And if you don't, we will fine you. $5,000, $10,000, whatever $1,000. The SLA, Liquor Authority, says, whoa, we want in on this. This is cash. So now we're going to create separate rules for alcohol, and people go in and check that, and we're going to start fining you too. We're also going to fine you because you need cash too. The problem with that is all that money goes to the state. Well, the local counties are suffering too. So what local counties do? They create their own rules so that they can now go in and inspect and get that cash for themselves. 3 different organizations now are all trying to take cash out of restaurants and bars who are suffering because of the rules. And they create 3 separate rules that literally overlap each other and contradict each other. So no matter what, you're going to lose money. If you think I'm making that up, ask any bar owner you know. They will tell you I'm correct. Ask any restaurateur you know. They will tell you I'm correct. But Larry, how are you going to enforce this stuff? Let me tell you how a savvy libertarian who understands people and who follows exactly what Rob said about not trying to punish people would put this together instead. The second COVID comes out, the second it happens, the second I see it happening, it's starting to happen. I use government for one thing it does relatively well. It acts well as a central repository for information. Not about the 311 call, the 911 call, or the website, what's going on in my community or town. Not a problem with that. And I put down all the goals and the ideas and guidelines the CDC and FDA say. Here they all are. Here's what New York State recommends for any given business that you have. This, and this, here are my guidelines. But I don't just put that. I also allow a medical association to put their guidelines if they want to. A holistic association to put their guidelines if they want to. Why? When I put the only guidelines out, and it's only me, and I allow no one else to put guidelines out, what did I just ask my population to do? Not trust me. What's he hiding? I don't trust him. What's he hiding? But when I am super transparent, less people say that. In fact, most say, stop, Larry's not hiding anything. He lets anybody put stuff up there. You can have multiple lines, whatever you like. But then I also allow, instead of having my inspectors go out and start finding people, the reverse. My inspectors now go out and they go to each of these areas. They go to each of these restaurants and bars and say, did you follow the rules? You did? You get a government stamp. If you don't, I just walk away. I don't fine you or punish you. You don't get a stamp. And now you as the consumer, you decide, do I trust that organization or not? Do I trust that government stamp or not? I don't trust it. I don't go in. I trust it. I go in. But I also let a medical association have a stamp. A holistic association have a stamp. So they get any stamp they want. And you as the consumer in your community, you decide what works and what doesn't work. I don't have to close down anybody. You will for me. You do it because you won't go there, which will give that person a chance to change. That what's not working. And my competitor over there, he's making a killing. You know what? Let me change. Let me change my protocols to match this. Who did I force? Nobody. What tax did I raise? None. Who did I punish? Nobody. What fee did I collect? None. And it would have been more effective and saved more people. That's how libertarians think. That's how we fix problems. That is the right way of doing things. When we create that environment, all of a sudden we have something more important. We have protocols for the future. This isn't the last time a virus is going to hit us. More are going to, right? Some will be worse. Some won't be as bad. Is our answer going to be, that's it, shut it all down every single time there's a virus? Is that our answer? If it is, our enemies are not going to make nuclear weapons. Those are way expensive and dangerous. They won't do that. They make a bunch of biological agents, give their own people the vaccine, and send it off to America. We'll destroy ourselves in 5 years. No problem. Is that our answer? We've allowed fear to make us aggressive. We've allowed fear to make us violent. And now we have a system right now that is absolutely in the best interest of every single politician to punish us as much as possible. I'm not even joking. Because think about it. If His Majesty King Andrew, oh hail the king, if King Andrew II actually says, I'm going to shut everything down and do everything I possibly can and punish people, and people still die, what does he say? I did everything I could. You can't blame me. I did everything I could. If he does all that stuff and people stop dying, he goes, see, I'm your Lord and Savior. I've saved you. Either way, he wins. That's how he thinks. That's what he does. We can change that if we change our culture. We can change if we understand that people will usually do the right thing. Some people won't, but they won't no matter what. There are still people who are still not doing the right thing, guaranteed. But most people will. And I go even further. If we had actually done that up front in February, in March, we had done this, there would not have been, oh, masks don't work, oh, masks work, oh, masks are everything, or it's 6 feet, or it's 7 feet. We would know. The data would be in, and people would believe it. And it wouldn't be at all political. It would have happened as our normal culture. It's what we would be doing. How do we know that? As I said, I live in Queens. I live in Queens, and there's a large Asian community in Queens, as there is in many parts of New York State. And prior to COVID, many people in our Asian communities were wearing masks. Why? Because they came from East Asia, where they already had things like the swine flu and bird flu and all those sorts of things, and they already put it as part of their world. When they got sick and they thought they had the flu, they would wear a mask. Part of the culture. It wasn't part of our culture. We could have made it so. Voluntarily, as they did. Voluntarily. Now, maybe in their country they had to wear it. In ours, they didn't, but they chose to. They set the example, and others followed. We should be setting the example and having others follow. Government does not have to be a hammer. It doesn't. It doesn't have to always use the stick to punish. It can use the carrot instead. And the carrot doesn't have to be money. The advantage of being an executive, whether it's a mayor or a governor or an executive or a president or whatever it might be, a supervisor, is you get the bully pulpit. We can use it. People usually respond. It's funny how people usually respond. If you believe that, you can change a lot of things. Only libertarians speak about this. We make a mistake as libertarians. And we often say, well, you know what our movement is about? Our movement is about liberty and freedom. It's not. Liberty and freedom is a means to an end. The end is happiness. Our divorce papers from the UK said we are about life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And now no one talks about it except guys like me in the Libertarian Party. We're the only ones talk about that. No one else does. Democrats, Republicans say exactly the same thing. My job is to keep you safe. That's my job. Keep you safe. And that happened heavily after 9/11. George W. Bush sang that like it was on tomorrow, and everybody after kept singing it. We still keep singing it. Well, guess what? Every executive takes the same oath that I took as a Marine back in 1985. And that oath was not to defend every single American. It was to protect and defend the Constitution. That's what that oath was. To protect and defend the Constitution. What's supposed to happen is any executive with their army or their police force or whatever they have defends the Constitution. The Constitution defends our rights, and we defend ourselves. That's what's supposed to happen. Boy, is that not what's happening now. What's happening now is my job is to defend you. And because my job is to defend you, I can do anything that I possibly want to defend you. How do I know that? We just gave our governor a few months ago executive power to do almost anything he wants to do if it's an emergency, because all that matters is protecting every single life. Even if I lock that life up in a basement for the next 3 years, that's all okay. I'm not okay with that. I'm just not. I'm not. And I wish it was just Democrats. It's not. Republicans too. They yell and scream the same thing. Only libertarians say, I want you to be happy. You can be as liberal or as conservative as you want to be. Just don't force your view on others. Now, how does that look? I'll give you another example if I could. When I was running for governor, crossing the state, one mayor of a city said to me, he said, Larry, I would love, if I could, if you're going to win this thing, I need your help. I would love to put safe injection sites in my community. Would you stop me? I said, not at all. If you think that's the answer for your community, I'm in. Please give it a shot. I hope it'll work. You have a drug problem. I hope this will fix it. The next thing he said was, that sounds great. We'll roll it out across the state. And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't say roll it out across the state. I said, your community. If your community wants to try this because you have a drug problem, please try it. But why would I assume the entire state needs to roll out this entire thing? Why would I assume that? He goes, well, it's going to work. Let me explain why it's going to work. He began to tell me about why it's going to work. And I stopped him. Why would I stop him? Because I don't care if it works? Because I don't think it will work? Because it doesn't matter if it's right. Just because something's right doesn't mean it should be a law. Something's right. Awesome. You go try it. Let others try it when they see it work. If others see it work, then they will try it. And if others don't see it works, then they won't try it. We let each community be each community. That's what I want to achieve. That's what matters. That's what libertarian is all about. Everything I've told you, none of it is for taxpayer money. Everything I've told you, none of it forces people. Yet each and every time I've given you some ideas that will actually make things better. The last piece I'll bring up before I bore you all to death. I hope I'm giving you some good ideas and you understand where my head is. When we first had this idea of COVID being a problem and us needing things like needing masks and needing sanitizers, my answer was very simple. Tell every nonprofit in every local community, I need your help. Good leaders don't say, I got this, go back to sleep. I got this, go watch Netflix. Good leaders say, I don't got this, I need your help. Help me fight this thing. This is hard and difficult and tough. Local communities, get on board. So I say, if you're a nonprofit, don't worry about it. You want to make a mask? Here's the rules on making a mask. Please make masks. Just sell them. Don't worry about sales tax. New York sales tax does not apply to you whatsoever. Go off and sell all you want. Not just that, I'm going to rescind all distillery laws in New York State so you can make hand sanitizer. Don't worry about it. No sales tax. Go sell hand sanitizer. Go do that now. VFWs, American Legions, Knights of Columbus, local churches. Go do it. What would have happened? Some people would have ignored me. Most probably would have. But some would have started doing it to make money. And they would have made some money. What would have happened? We would have cool masks, Batman mask, Joker mask, and whatever. We would have masks with go to this place, to that place. What would have happened? How do I know? It's happening now, just 6 months late. I talked about it 7 months ago. People would have started doing it already. Not just that, local communities would have started thinking about things like washing your hands and being safer and all those types of things that matter no matter what. That would have started happening right now. We would begin the protocols would have started without me having to force anybody. We've had hand sanitizer. What would have happened? Next thing I tell my AG, you are not to prosecute anybody who uses 3D printing to create a test or to create a respirator. You want to make them, make them. Not just that, you can ship them anywhere you want, no sales tax. What would have happened? Most people wouldn't have made it. But some businesses who were struggling would have voluntarily shifted into making that because they're not doing well. Boom, no sales tax, they stopped making it. We would have found out if those tests failed 6 months ago, not 3 months ago. We'd have all the respirators we wanted. Made here in the United States, not China. We made here, United States, not China, without having to have a trade war, without having to fight anybody. Would have happened now, voluntarily. That would have already happened. We wouldn't have had a shortage of testing. We wouldn't have a shortage of respirators. Nothing, right now. Then I rescind all Department of Building ordinances that say you can't put cots in common areas in these same nonprofits. Allow cots to be in places like churches, again, VFWs, allow it to happen. Why? What if you're working and you're not really at risk, but you have someone at home who is at risk? Someone who's over 75, has pre-existing condition. You're worried about them. Great, go to work. Don't go home. Sleep in a church. Sleep in a VFW. Don't go home. Make your money, pay your bills. Sleep in a church for 6 months, 3 weeks, 2 days, whatever's appropriate in your world. Do that. We didn't do any of that. But it's happening now, isn't it? 6 months late. I spoke of all these things 7 months ago. Voluntary, nobody's being fought, no extra taxes, no extra punishment. And we change culture and we save lives. And I said this 7 months ago and still no one's doing it. Why? Because government doesn't know any better. what government knows well is hit it with a stick. It doesn't work, hit it again. Bigger stick, 3 sticks. Let's just keep hitting. Eventually it'll die, or will die, who cares? Let's just keep hitting it. That's how it works. I know I preached a lot today. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to preach so much, but I wanted to give you some ideas that I was talking about that affect you to this day. We can make things better. It's a libertarian way. If you care about what I'm talking about, if it matters to you, then do me one huge favor. Vote gold this year. Vote gold this year. You must do it this year. Why, Larry? Libertarians can't win. Some will win, some will lose. That's what happens every single year. I don't know which one's going to win, which one's going to lose. But here's what I know. The more votes we get, the more viable we are, the more realistic people think we are, and they will come to us for solutions when their solutions fail. How do I know? Because we're growing in New York State, and that's what's happening. The more viable we are, the more people come to us because they realize their side isn't working. But Larry, I got to support my guy on my blue team or red team. In at least half of these races, all of you know exactly who's going to win already because your district is so gerrymandered as either blue or red, you know who's going to win. It's a wasted vote. Your vote's wasted. You know who's going to win. So instead, vote gold and make impact this year and next year. That's not a wasted vote. Here in New York State, for those of you in New York State, you know Biden is going to win this state. He's going to get our 27 votes, whether you like it or not. If you like Biden, some people I'm sure like Biden, awesome for you, nice. If you don't like Biden, I'm sorry. Either way, he's getting the votes. I got to vote for Biden. Why? He's getting our votes. I got to vote for Trump. Why? He's getting our votes. I'm sorry, Biden's getting our votes. So instead, vote gold. Get us our 160 that Cody was talking about. Put us on the ballot as an option. Well, Larry, I'm not a libertarian. I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican. Great. Don't you want better Democrats and better Republicans? Then have a strong third party. You want better Republicans and better Democrats, have a strong third party. Here's what I'm sure of. If you're a Democrat or Republican in any solid red or solid blue state, you're listening, you're watching, any solid blue or solid red state, you do not like your party. Why? Because your party has become a monopoly. So if you're a Democrat in New York State, you don't like your party. Most Democrats don't like Our Majesty. I know that to be true. You all know it too. Most don't like them. They just hate Republicans. It's true. Most Democrats don't like Cuomo. They hate Republicans. That's true. They don't want to vote Republican. Okay. How about we have better Republicans? How about we have better Democrats? The Republican Party in a statewide election in my state hasn't won an election in 18 years. Has not won a statewide election in 18 years. And the state's not getting redder because the people who would vote Republican, they're leaving our state in droves. So it's not getting redder. It's almost 3-1 Democrat to Republican. Why are you voting in any statewide election the red or the blue team? Please stop. Please stop. You're just making things worse. You are part of the problem, not the solution, by voting exactly the same way every single time. I just gave you, randomly off the top of my head, 3 or 4 ideas that will actually work. Listed on my website. Go check them out. I'm not making them up. They're already there. Tell me a Democrat or Republican who has half of those. You can't find one. You can't find one. You ask a Democrat, how are you going to fix education? What are they going to say? We got to support teachers and support students. Awesome. How? By supporting teachers and by supporting students. Great. How? By supporting them all. Garbage, rhetoric, nothing. They will not help you at all. In New York State, we give over $23,000 for every student in New York State. We rank 37th in the nation. That's supporting teachers and supporting students. All right. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I'm happy to take a couple questions, but thank you so much, Emma. Thank you. I'm happy to take a question or a comment if you happen to have any. I know it was on cards and I apologize, but it's been a long day. That's my excuse. Yes. Any question or comment? I blew you all away. There were no questions or comments. Awesome. Thank you guys. Have a good night. Thank you for watching.